The Nazca lines, massive drawings. Nobody on the ground can actually see. An entire civilization carved images so large you can only recognize them from an airplane, thousands of feet in the air, technology that wouldn't exist for another 1,500 years. They had no aircraft, no hot air balloons, nothing capable of getting a human being high enough to actually see what they'd made. Nobody has ever definitively explained why they built something they themselves may never have been able to view. Spread across the arid Nazca Desert in southern Peru, an extensive network of massive geometric shapes, straight lines stretching for miles, and detailed figurative designs depicting animals including a hummingbird, a monkey, a spider, and numerous other creatures, was created by the ancient Nazca culture, sometime between roughly 500 BC and 500 AD, formed through a remarkably simple technique, removing the reddish-brown iron oxide-coated pebbles covering the desert surface to expose the lighter-colored ground underneath, creating contrasting lines and shapes that have remained visible for well over 1,000 years, due to the region's genuinely unusual, stable climate conditions, one of the driest environments on Earth, with minimal wind and rainfall specifically preventing the kind of natural erosion that would have erased comparable markings almost anywhere else in the world. What makes the Nazca lines genuinely, persistently remarkable, beyond the sheer scale of the undertaking itself, is the specific practical puzzle their creation presents. Several of the largest figures span hundreds of feet, large enough that their actual designs are essentially impossible to fully recognize or appreciate from ground level, only becoming clearly identifiable as coherent images when viewed from a significant height, a perspective the Nazca people, working roughly 2,000 years ago with no documented access to any form of manned flight, apparently never had any conventional means of achieving themselves. This specific puzzle, how and why an ancient civilization created large-scale artwork specifically designed to be viewed from a perspective they had no obvious means of accessing, has generated genuine, sustained scholarly investigation and considerably more speculative popular theorizing over the decades, since the lines were first brought to broader international attention following aerial surveys and photography conducted in the 1920s and 1930s, when pilots flying over the region first documented the full scale and clarity of the markings from the air. Serious archaeological and anthropological research into the Nazca line's likely purpose has generally converged around several genuinely plausible explanations rooted in documented aspects of Nazca religious and astronomical practice, rather than requiring any exotic or supernatural explanation for their creation. Maria Reiche, a German mathematician who dedicated decades of her life to studying and preserving the lines beginning in the 1940s, proposed that many of the geometric lines and shapes may have served astronomical or calendrical functions, potentially marking solstice points or other significant celestial alignments relevant to Nazca agricultural and religious practices, a theory that has received mixed but genuine scholarly support in subsequent decades of more detailed archaeological analysis. Other researchers have proposed the lines may have served as processional pathways used during religious ceremonies and rituals, with archaeological evidence, including pottery fragments and other ceremonial artifacts, discovered along and near several of the lines, lending some genuine support to this interpretation, suggesting the line's primary significance may have been rooted in their physical use as walked pathways during specific ritual practices, rather than requiring the completed images to actually be visually appreciated from above at all. A theory that would meaningfully resolve the apparent puzzle of creating aerial-scale imagery without aerial viewing capability, if the visual recognition of the completed figures from above was never actually the primary intended purpose in the first place. Some researchers have also proposed the lines held significance connected to water and fertility, given the desert region's persistent water scarcity and the Nazca culture's documented dependence on sophisticated underground aqueduct systems for agricultural survival, suggesting certain lines may have functioned as markers indicating underground water sources or as ceremonial elements connected to rituals specifically intended to encourage rainfall, and agricultural fertility in this genuinely water-scarce environment. What has considerably complicated serious scholarly discussion of the Nazca lines over the decades since their broader international recognition has been the genuine, persistent popularity of considerably more speculative theories proposing the lines were created with the assistance of, or specifically for the benefit of, ancient extraterrestrial visitors. Theories popularized substantially through Swiss author Erich von Däniken's widely read but scientifically discredited 1968 book Chariots of the Gods, which proposed the lines functioned as landing strips or signals for ancient alien spacecraft, a theory that gained considerable popular cultural traction despite lacking any genuine archaeological or scientific support, and one that mainstream archaeologists studying the actual, extensive physical and cultural evidence surrounding Nazca civilization have consistently and thoroughly rejected, given the complete absence of any credible supporting evidence and the presence of far more archaeologically grounded explanations rooted in documented Nazca religious, astronomical, and agricultural practices. Modern archaeological research into the Nazca lines continues actively today, employing satellite imagery, drone photography, and, in recent years, artificial intelligence-assisted pattern recognition specifically deployed to identify previously undiscovered lines and figures across the extensive desert region. Efforts that have successfully identified numerous additional figures beyond those originally documented decades earlier, suggesting the full scope of what the Nazca people actually created may remain considerably larger than what has been definitively catalogued even now, nearly a century after the lines first received serious international scholarly attention. What makes the Nazca lines endure as one of history's most genuinely compelling ancient mysteries isn't necessarily the absence of plausible, evidence-based explanations for their creation, since serious archaeological research has actually developed several genuinely well-supported theories rooted in documented Nazca cultural and religious practice, but the specific, enduring public fascination with the underlying puzzle their scale and precision continues to present. A civilization that created something so large it may have been fundamentally impossible for its own creators to ever fully see, using nothing more than simple tools, careful planning, and a level of large-scale spatial precision that continues to genuinely impress modern researchers studying exactly how such accuracy was achieved without any of the surveying technology later civilizations would eventually develop. If stories like this, where an ancient civilization's genuine ingenuity gets overshadowed by decades of far less credible speculation, are exactly what you come here for, subscribe to The Grave Details, because history holds more stories like this than most people will ever know.